if you said to me, I'm going to be a top 10 podcast host, I'd be like, yeah, cool. Because I've seen your setup. I know how pro you are. I know how much you research for stuff. Like, it just makes sense. If you are saying that to someone who says, no, that's never going to happen, it's either a you problem or a them problem. And it's a you problem because you're not embodying that person. They can't imagine it happening because you're not. That's not, like, if you were like, oh, I'm going to be on the Olympic swim team, it's like, are you? Do you even swim now? But if you already were swimming every day, if you were already doing all right in it, then it's like, okay, yeah, cool. So that's when it would be a you problem. If it was a them problem, it's just simply because they haven't got their stuff together enough to be able to celebrate someone else. Because I think there's plenty of people who will just knock other people down because they see it as a slight on them. So they see you shining your light really brightly as dimming them in some way. Whereas I don't feel like truly successful people who really want the best for you would ever do that.
I really like that. And Tony and I on this trip, we were sort of away in the summer for a couple of months from Dubai. We've been talking a lot about how we just really want other people around us to succeed. And that's like our vision. It's not very nice to write down that as a vision for the business, but it's just something that I like when people around us do really well and you see them trying their best, failing, trying again. And I think when you say it to people, some people really don't like it. They lean away and go, why do you want everyone to do well? And that immediately sort of puts me off that person.
Yep.
Because you're like, well, why? I don't understand why not.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because they're not, like you say, you put it really well there. I mean, they haven't got their own stuff together enough to be able to help other people.
I just feel like when you know who you are and you know what you want and you know where you're going, you have this big sense of cosmic oneness that we're all in this together, and you feel like you just want other people to do well, and you also don't feel like you're in competition with them at all. Like, I literally compete against people in a sport and I never feel like I'm in competition with anyone, which is like confusing to me. But I think that competition is overall actually weakness. I think it's better to just think you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. And even if, say, someone signed up to like my company, Coachbox, and then they left and they were like, oh, we're going somewhere else, and like we've found another product and they're your competitor, it's like, oh, I don't really see them as my competitor. Like, that's cool, you go do whatever is right for you, and the people who are right for us will come and work with us, and that's it. And it's so much nicer and it feels a lot healthier.
I mean, you're a great example of that, because you do if you gave me a recommendation for anything, a person to meet up with, a guest, I'm always like, definitely. Because I know that we get on. I know who you are as a person. I know people around you. I know Ben. So I know it's going to be good. So there must be something around that as a person. People have that energy, because there's also people that, send us messages about having this person as a guest, and we immediately just go, oh, definitely not. Because if they're friends of you, I don't really like you. So you're not coming in, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that is like there's definitely an energy around people, isn't there? People that have that mindset that you have.
Yeah.
Around competition, around business, around life, around almost that force field of we're here to help each other, that I just think resonates so strongly.
Yeah, it's people who play the long game, but they don't even think about it as playing a game. I think it's the generosity thing. I think it's making introductions, giving. There's a lot in it, but people show their colours. Over a long enough time scale, people just show their colours.
This is actually genuinely why I love podcasting, because in an hour, no one can hide their colours.
Yeah.
So they think they can.
Yeah.
And they really can't over an hour. Like, it'll come out.
So the next one in the system is I, in the claim system, and it's imagine. And this is picture the scene of your big goal coming true, but happening in a lot of detail. So the exact moment that you realize it's true, describe it. And it's almost like you're walking through being in the shoes of the version of you that has that thing. And so one example I have is when I was about 3 years into running my business, Ben and I, my husband and I, booked a trip to Australia. And there was so much to do in the business before we got on that plane for that 5-week trip, when I had a 7-person agency that definitely did not run itself. And I knew I was at the bottom of this mountain of systemizing, making processes, upskilling my team. But I watched videos about Australia. I visualized myself getting on that plane. I visualized myself at the end of the trip coming back to the UK and realizing that nothing had gone wrong and I could do it again. And I pictured everything.
Wow.
So thinking about yours, you are the owner of a top 10 podcast. How do you know? What does it look like when that happens? Walk me through almost like the day that you find out that that's true.
Okay, so I'm 30 now. If we open the time horizon, so say I'm 40. Say it takes...
Forget the time.
Oh, it
doesn't matter.
Completely. It's just the day.
You have no idea how old you are at the time it happens.
Oh, it's literally just the day. I was trying to think of myself as like a 40-year-old guy.
Imagine that you look roughly like you now, but maybe you've got a few more grey hairs.
I don't have any now.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so what would happen? So I'm sure we'd know we're getting close. We'd be watching some sort of live countdown, maybe of subscribers or whatever the platform is at the time. We would be speaking to people that have been guests over the years, because I'd want to show how grateful we are. I'd definitely have people around me, people that have been on the journey, maybe even some sort of party, or there'd be some sort of event that week. There'd be something going on so that everyone's together. And then I guess you'd look at the charts, right? So you'd be looking at, how have we quantified top 10? I think right now I'd be quantifying it in like the Apple charts. You know, right at the top, it's the highest you could possibly get, top 10 charts. And you'd tick over it, you'd jump into there, and you'd have that amazing feeling of like, whoa, that journey was worth. I think for me it would come down to that ideology of it was worth it. Maybe that's not right though. Maybe it's a we've achieved something. That was amazing. That was the goal we set out. Worth it is probably the wrong way of thinking about it, because that's, if you don't hit that, was it worth it? Yes, still worth it. I still love it. But it's like a culmination of all that work. So it would be an overwhelming sense of the thing that we started from a kitchen table with a $30 lapel mic and some mates became something that benefited millions of others, because in reality no one listens to podcasts if they don't benefit them. So that would be the sense of achievement I'd have.
So you're kind of skipping ahead to the next one, which is
sorry.
M for meaning, but you did that by accident. But I really like that you've connected it already to the meaning.
Okay. It means your system works.
Yeah, I guess so. But in just the imagine one,
yeah.
I really like that you said, okay, something about the Apple charts, because that means that you could Photoshop the Apple charts with your podcast in there,
yeah.
and that could be printed out in front of you at all times. That could be your desktop background. That could be something that really does make you look at it and go, this is it coming true. This is that moment, and I can feel it. And then you get that feeling that we mentioned before in one of the previous steps. You get that feeling and you kind of connect with it all the time. And so yours, for this one, for a podcast, that makes perfect sense. It could be if you're looking for a business exit or a revenue number, you could see the money coming into your account. It could be your bank account with a different, I've got friends who Photoshop different amounts into their bank account to visualize that happening. I wrote myself a pretend check before I sold my agency with the exact amount, signed it from the perfect buyer, put the date on it. Maybe it's you receiving the keys to your dream home. Maybe it's sometimes before a lift, I kind of visualize in a picture my coach saying that was the best you've ever benched that, or that was the fastest you've ever deadlifted that.
Okay.
And then it comes true after, and you're like, yes.
So it's actually it's like defining your ICP. Make it as specific as possible.
Yes, yeah. As specific as possible. You want to like fully picture the scene of it coming true, and you want to know everything about it. So if it was like some kind of sports competition, imagine that you want to get this like high rocks time. It's like, what does it feel like when you're on the podium? What does it feel like when you can see the clock? Like going back to the Paula Radcliffe one, and then what does the floor look like? What does that ski erg look like? What does everything look like? Kind of get really, really familiar with all of it.
I guess you could even do smells, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking of high rocks and you're training in the gym, you know what it smells like in a high rocks competition. Maybe.
Like the smell of success. I feel like this is a thing. So in between businesses, Ben and I were writing different business ideas in an Excel spreadsheet. And I think one thing that we wrote down was just because we were coming up with kind of stupid ideas, and one of them was like a perfume called the smell of success.
Nice. What did it smell like?
Just, I don't know, mahogany, I don't know.
Oh, I think you say nothing, that's the whole point.
Oh yeah, but the idea, yeah, exactly, so that every time you smell that smell, it's like a reminder that this is you achieving that thing.
I think that would work really well. Actually, that might work better than like seeing.
Yeah, depending on how you take stuff in a sensory way. Yeah.
That's interesting, because actually I could, like, when I think of podcasts, I usually think of the smell of coffee as well.
Yeah.
Because the guest has a coffee or someone has a coffee. There's always coffee in the room when someone's doing podcasts. So that'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
I actually know a guy who, before or when he sold his business, he went to a cash point. You know, a lot of cash points in the UK, at least, you can just click check balance.
Yeah.
And it was like 7 figures, blah, 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 blah. And he has that printed off. And he said a similar thing where he's like, if I went back, I would have that screenshot and I would Photoshop it first, have it on my wall somewhere. Exactly the same as what you said.
Nice.
But like old school, like CFAX.
Yep.
You know?
So it could be sounds as well. If there's going to be a certain sound that you hear that means, yes, this thing's come true. So I think about this with the national anthem quite a bit because I'm going to be a bench press world champion. And so I picture myself at the top on the podium with them saying, and now it's the national anthem of Great Britain. Like, I'm not really like patriotic, but when that comes on, that's the visualization that's in my head. And if you especially connect to stuff in an auditory way, then you can feel very emotional when it comes up, because it's that signal that thing has come true, and you almost feel like you're kind of transcending time, and you can picture yourself there, and the sound connects it.